Hey there, friends and enemies, JoPaWrites here again, and today I need to talk about an absolutely broken combination that is melting bosses with primary weapons in Destiny 2 right now, and that includes on expert and master level content. It's insane and will likely get nerfed in the near future. This combination works across a wide variety of builds, so I'm going to also showcase mine for the Striker Titan because that's where I think it's most effective. And the combination I'm talking about is the newly introduced Bolt Charge and any damage over time weapon. Think Osteostriga, Thorn, or even Le Monarch. And the reason is the damage over time counts in adding the stacks of the Bolt Charge incredibly fast, especially if you use something like the new arc aspect for the Striker Titan, so you can discharge max stacks with your weapons. And the combination is just absolutely bananas, especially because when you use Storm's Keep, you and your allies gain the stacks of Bolt Charge. So you can use this on one single character and then get Bolt Charge for the entire team, and it's incredibly effective. So I would highly recommend using this if you are trying to go for a dungeon clear, if you're doing anything like a raid where you run out of ammo and then you're resorting to a primary. This feels incredibly strong, and I highly recommend trying it out if you have not already. As far as the build that I'm enjoying using right now, I am obviously using Le Monarch for mine just because it's strong against Overload champions, so that's covered. It also does a ton of damage, probably the most out of any of these weapons. At range, it's a very safe option, and so if you're a player who is not used to doing end game content, this is the type of build that will allow you to have a ton of success without much difficulty. Then you've got a fusion rifle in the primary slot. I'm using the scatter signal with overflow and controlled burst, but you can use whichever one you want. Maybe one that might be better at clearing ads, because that might be where this build struggles just a tiny bit if you don't use your abilities properly. Then we've got the Eyes Unveiled. Again, Stick and Void here, using Withering Gaze to weaken enemies. This works very well with the current seasonal artifact perks, and I just like the combination quite a bit. As far as the exotic armor, I am using the Crest of Alpha Lupi. This is so I'm essentially infinitely casting my barricade, so I just heal all the time, and I also get more orbs for my super, which I am using the Thunder Crash, so that can get more orbs for my allies as well. And the healing pulse is incredibly nice all the time, especially in something like Expert Nether or master level dungeon where you might be taking a lot of damage while you are doing any kind of DPS phase. As far as the full build, I am also rocking Thunder Crash. I use Thunder Clap just because it's nice to use, especially behind a barricade. Then the Pulse Grenade. This is also very nice because it's the safest and easiest to use ultimately. Then we have Knockout. This is because I'm going to try to use my melee attack pretty consistently while behind a barricade or in safe cover, so that way I can get that extra amplification. I can also try to get my health regeneration as much as possible. The Striker Titan struggles a little bit with any kind of overshield, so having several different types of healing can be an important and harder difficulty content. Then I'm also using Storm's Keep. This is obviously huge, so I cast my class ability to grant some Bolt Charge, and then also when behind my barricade, me and my allies gain stacks of Bolt Charge over time, and your weapons can discharge max stacks. So if you see on Bolt Charge, typically it says that at max stacks, any ability damage generates a powerful bolt of arc lightning. This is where you are going to be using your weapons and why that's so important. Fragments, I am using the Spark of Shock to jolt targets. We got Ions, so I can defeat a jolted targets and get the Ionic Trace. I want to get my abilities back as often as possible. Then we've got Magnitude. This is so my Pulse Grenade can linger a little bit longer. And then Spark of Frequency, so that way melee hits increase my reload speed and stability. This is really important. For the Little Monarch, it can be very helpful. And then while amplified, the effects are increased, and you gain increased stacks of Bolt Charge from all sources. As far as the mods go, I'm using Dynamo, Hands-On Void Siphon. We got Heavy-Handed Void Loader Fastball, arc damage resist, or whatever damage resist in the type of content you need to take on. I like Concussive Dampener, especially when behind my barricade a lot, and then Void Reserves for my linear fusion rifle, double void weapon surge, and then better already. Again, an additional source of healing can be nice, and then distribution and reaper. Now, some of the artifact perks that I think are really effective, but you can mix and match them a little bit more with this build, especially considering you are using both Void and Arc. Particle Reconstruction is really nice for the extra damage from linear fusions. If you're using that for boss damage, you can also, if you want to use a machine gun there instead, you can also use heavy ordnance instead of the linear fusion perk, but you can also use Void Flux. Defeating weakened targets with a void weapon applies volatile, so this can be very, very nice. So either particle reconstruction and Void Flux, or maybe even something like defibrillating blast can be nice as well if you are using the bolt charge on champions. Then we've got something like Maligned Harvest, so rapidly applying volatile can cause a weakening burst, which is also very nice. You can also use flashover. When you gain maximum bolt charge, you also become amplified. Lightning deals more damage, which is incredibly nice. And then you want Dielectric. Defeating arc debuff targets grants bolt charge as well as volatile marksman, so rapid void weapon precision hits and rapid void weapon frontal blows grants volatile rounds. This can be incredibly effective with the Monarch if you are using it for ad clear, so it is something that I recommend tossing on. The gameplay loop of this is pretty simple. You're essentially going to cast a barricade, stick behind it, and just dish out as much weapon damage as possible. While enemies push you, that's when you use your grenade and your melee ability to clear them quickly. One of the nice things about this is because you have pretty much infinite healing because you're spamming your barricade, it does feel like even in Expert Nether, when healing is so minimal relative to the rest of the game, you're still getting a lot of it pretty consistently just because of how often you're able to use your barricade. And it does feel like while you are dealing damage to enemies, you have it pretty much on cooldown. So when one of your barricade disappears, you can just cast the next one instantly and keep it rolling. And so this is not the most aggressive or fun build for any type of hyper aggressive playstyle, but it is one that is incredibly successful and can be used if you're running something like a solo dungeon run where ammo is limited. If you are doing a master dungeon or grandmaster nightfall and your team is running out of ammo pretty consistently, this is a combination that I highly recommend using in order to maximize your damage regardless of where your ammo is. Plus, you can save your special and heavy ammo for situations where you absolutely need it as well. Maybe you got to get out of the range of your barricade. Maybe your barricade is still on cooldown, and that's where you will be popping your other weapons to do damage from there because you won't be generating all those stacks of bolt charge anyway. And I do feel like this is the type of build that can get you through pretty much any type of content in the game right now. So if you're looking to get your first clear of Sunder Doctrine, if you are looking to do maybe your first solo dungeon, this is something that I think could be incredibly successful for you if you are able to have all the items that I mentioned in the build. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is this a combination that you're going to be trying out? I definitely have been swapping between Le Monarch, Thorn, and then Osteo Sugar just to keep things fresh. It does feel nice to have lots of different options, but I just feel like ultimately Le Monarch is the most powerful. So if I am recommending just one of them, that is going to be the case for this episode specifically. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like the video, comment, subscribe. As always, have a good one. I'll catch you all later.